Hey there, how safe is your crypto? I wrote the book, Is Your Crypto Safe? Because over my 8 years in crypto, I've seen so many people make so many mistakes, get ripped off by scams, by hacks, simply send funds to the wrong address, not understand different blockchains, and not having a plan for the future. And it just costs people money. This is a space that's incredible with amazing opportunity, but so many people end up doing badly in it because they don't have those fundamentals in place. So I created the SAFE formula. And in this video, I'm going to run through the SAFE formula with you so you can check how safe your portfolio is. Let's dive into it. Okay, so the first letter is S, and S stands for self-custody. Okay, now experienced crypto people will know what this means. If you don't own your crypto, if you don't have the keys to your crypto, it's not really yours. You might have heard the expression, not your keys, not your coins. Now, a lot of people get into crypto and they use an exchange like a Coinbase or CoinSpot or SwiftX or one of these large exchanges to buy their assets, and that's where they leave it sitting. Those assets are not yours. If you don't control the keys to your crypto, if you don't have them in your own custody, in your own wallet, it's not truly your crypto, and it's at risk of disappearing. Just a couple of years ago, the second largest exchange in the world, FTX, collapsed. Right? $8 billion of customer money went missing. And that's just one of a string. In the book, there's a list of over 20 that have gone down in the last decade. So having your own funds in your own custody is super important. So how do we do that? We set up our own wallet. And there's two types of wallets: hot wallets and cold wallets. Okay, you might have heard these expressions and not know what they mean. It's really quite simple. Okay, first off, a hot wallet. So a hot wallet is a wallet that's connected to the internet. Okay, so it might be on your phone, it might be on your desktop computer, it might be a browser extension. Wallets like MetaMask, Phantom, Trust Wallet, Exodus, all of these types of wallets fall into the category of hot wallets. Now they're great because they're convenient, they're easy to connect to the blockchain, to send and receive transactions if you're doing some staking, super simple like that. But they do pose that slightly higher element of risk because they are connected to the internet. If someone injected some malware into your computer, got hold of it, they could potentially access your funds. So that's where cold wallets come into play. Okay, so a cold wallet can take many forms. It can be as simple as being a piece of paper, like a paper wallet where your seed phrase, your private key is written down, or more commonly now it's a hardware wallet, so a device like a Trezor or a Ledger. Okay, this is a physical device that you plug into your computer or you scan a code with to use. That means you have to physically acknowledge a transaction, right, before it can take place. So someone could be on your computer and want to send funds, but without that ability to physically push the buttons on the hardware device, that transaction can't happen. It gives you this extra layer of security because your assets are kept offline. Okay. Now, you might be saying, well, which one's better? And I don't think either are better. I think what you want is a balance of both. You want a balance of convenience and security. Okay, you have to excuse my handwriting. I'm trying to get better at this. But you want that balance of what's going to work for you on a day-to-day basis. So if you are staking or sending funds around, then those funds want to be in a hot wallet because it's just easier to use. But your long-term assets, your Bitcoin that you're not planning to sell for a decade or ever, that 100% wants to be in a cold wallet, a hardware wallet. Okay. Once you have these two set up, you've got your hot wallet, your cold wallet, you've moved your crypto off exchanges, then you become empowered. Okay. You are now the bank. You hold the keys to the castle. You are truly responsible for your own wealth, and you're protected from an exchange collapse. Say Coinbase goes under, or CoinSpot goes under, or they get hacked, as happened recently. Okay, Bybit, one of the world's bigger exchanges, got hacked and $42 million worth of Ethereum was stolen. Sorry, $1 billion worth of Ethereum was stolen. When you hold your assets in your own custody, you greatly reduce those third-party risks. Okay, so S is for self-custody. Next up, A. A is for assured security. Okay, assured security. Now, there's two aspects to this. The first is our seed phrase, And the second is our passwords. So let's talk about seed phrase. When you set up a wallet, okay, when you set up a wallet, you get given a seed phrase. It's generally 12 or 24 random words. Those words are just a cryptographic hash of the private key for your wallet, and they are the keys to the castle. So they need to be protected really, really carefully. What happens all too often is that people will just write those 12 words down, leave them on a piece of paper, and that's as far as their security ever goes. And it's just not good enough. That paper could be lost or destroyed so easily. So we need to think about how we're protecting our seed phrase, okay? We want to have it stored securely, ideally on, say, like a crypto steel where it becomes fireproof and waterproof. We want multiple copies of it stored in different locations. In the book, I go into great detail on different ways to do this and different ideas of how to store it and where to store it. But it's really important to understand that anyone that has that seed phrase has access to your funds. So it's super important to make sure it is stored securely. And then passwords. We use passwords pretty much every day. Most people online are using passwords every day to log in and out of services. But so often people are using terrible passwords. They're using kids' names and pets' names and street numbers and dates of birth, things that are easy to remember. But they're easy to hack as well. And with the advances of computing and AI and quantum computing coming, those passwords are going to become more and more vulnerable. So we want to make sure that we're using good, secure passwords. In the book, I talk about substituting letters. So, an A might become an at, or an S might become a 5, whatever it happens to be that makes sense for you. You don't want it to be too common that everyone's going to guess it, but we can all come up with our own unique alphabet and way of actually changing letters and numbers into symbols and other characters to help mask, I was trying to use a really big word then, but help mask those passwords, okay? The other thing we can do is go beyond simple passwords, and in the book I talk about using passphrases, where we don't just use, a single word, we actually use a phrase strung together, right? And that just makes basically unhackable passwords, okay? So once you've got your seed phrase and your passwords all locked down, then you've got peace of mind, okay? So now you've got your assets in your own custody, so you're empowered to actually hold your own assets, to be your own bank, and then with good seed phrase protection and good quality passwords, you've got peace of mind that your assets are locked down. Right, third one, we've got S for self-custody, A for assured security. Now we move on to F, and F is for future-proof. Okay, too many people think about their crypto in terms of what's happening right now, and they don't think about the future. Okay, so the two aspects we want to look at here are regular checks, and we want to think about legacy. So, what are our regular checks? Well, you put your seed phrase away in a drawer. Is it still there? Have you actually eyeballed it and know it's still there? Is the seed phrase correct? Have you actually checked that it's correct and you can use it? Have you logged in somewhere recently and used your password so you're making sure it's remembered correctly? And really important, something that people miss is firmware updates. Okay, if you're using a hardware wallet, a Trezor, a Ledger, etc., the manufacturers of those products often release firmware updates because they're continuing to make them stronger and more secure. So we want to make sure that if there's a firmware update available, we're actually taking care of it. So those are those regular checks we need to be doing once a quarter, once every 6 months, whatever keeps you comfortable that you know you're on top of your security. And then secondly, we talk about legacy. This is something that I've seen personally. Unfortunately, people don't make plans for when unexpected things happen. Okay, if you were to pass away unexpectedly, can your loved ones access your crypto? Once you're self-custodying your crypto, it becomes really, really important to make sure that you've got a legacy plan in place. So if something unexpected happened to you, your loved ones can actually access those assets and continue to use them, and that wealth can be good for the generations to come. Now, this is a tricky thing to manage because you need to make sure you're not compromising security. And in the book, I go into some ways that you can actually start to look at passing this information on. But I want you to think about the fact, have you even ever thought about legacy? You might have crypto in your wallet, but have you ever thought about what happens if something happened to you? Can your family, your loved ones actually access those assets, right? So once you know you're doing your regular checks and you've got your legacy plan in place, then you move to a place of being confident, having confidence, being confident. You know that you're doing those regular checks, that you're on top of things, and you know if something happens to you, that those assets and that wealth can make a difference for generations to come. Okay, so now the 3 steps. Self-custody. We're empowered to actually be our own bank. We've got assured security, giving us peace of mind because we know that our seed phrases and our passwords are locked down and strong. We're future-proofing because we're doing our regular checks. We've got a legacy plan in place, so we're confident in our assets and our asset security. And then we move on to our 4th aspect, which is E for evolving. The crypto market is constantly changing, okay? It is constantly on the move and go. Blockchains are emerging, apps are emerging, new wallets are emerging, new coins are coming up all the time, okay? So we want to make sure that we are educated and aware. Okay, first off, we want to be making sure that we're keeping up with all these changes, right? When new blockchains are arriving, what does it mean for us? When coins are arriving, when government rules and regulations are coming into place, what does this mean for us? So we want to make sure that we're being educated and we want to be aware. Awareness around the projects that we're invested in, okay? Some of the smaller projects that you're invested in, there might be things happening there like token swaps, or there might be sales events where there's an opportunity to take profits. You need to be on top of those things, keeping up with what's happening on the market, not just sit and forget if you're being an active investor, okay? And then the other side is community and mentoring. Okay, who are you hanging out with in this crypto space? Be it physically in your environment. Do you have friends, family that you're doing this with, that you're keeping on top of information and news with? Or do you belong to an online community? Are you part of a group with that are supporting each other to win and have great wins in crypto? It's really important, I find, to have those quality people around you and be part of that. And then mentoring. Who are you actually learning from? If you're getting value from this video, please hit subscribe and like the video. That'd be great. Help me out a lot. But who are you watching online? There's so many people out there shilling crypto, and all they want to do is sell the next coin because generally they're getting paid to do it. Okay, that's why I created this book, because I want people to understand how to actually stay safe in an environment where there's incredible opportunity, but there's also incredible danger. So look at the community you're surrounding yourself with and look at who it is you're trusting to educate you. Okay, you have these things in place. You keep educated and aware, you have good community and good mentoring, and then you've got 2 things, okay? You've got growth and you've got resilience. Okay, your assets will continue to grow, you'll continue to make wealth in the future, and you know that you can survive any events. So that is it. That's the S.A.F.E formula. Let's recap really quickly. Self-custody. Make sure you've got assets, your assets in your own control so you can be empowered to be the bank. A is for assured security. Make sure those seed phrases and passwords are locked down using quality passwords and strength so that people can't easily hack your assets. That gives you peace of mind. Future-proof, making sure you're doing those regular checks on your hardware wallets, your seed phrases, etc., and you have a legacy plan in place so you can be confident. And then E is for evolving. Okay, you're educated, you're aware, you've got community and mentoring around you. That gives you growth and resilience. All of this is covered in the book. Is Your Crypto Safe? If you did want to grab a copy, you can just go to isyourcryptosafe.com. isyourcryptosafe.com. You can grab a digital copy for a couple of bucks. You can grab a physical copy there as well. As I said, if the video has been helpful to you, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let me know in the comments how safe is your setup.